We have all heard it. You are the company you keep. But when life gets busy and friendships pile up like contacts in your phone, how do you know which connections are truly good for your soul? Author and keynote speaker Florence Ann Romano is here to help us rethink our relationships and build the kind of community that fuels our peace and purpose. And don't we all want that? Florence Ann, let's start with the basics. What exactly does it mean to align your friendships? And why does it feel like that's harder to do as adults?
It's funny because I think we expect our friendships to last forever. And that's not always the way. And it doesn't mean that even if the friendship doesn't last forever, that it wasn't valuable and that you should just write it off and condemn it. There's a season or reason for everything, as they say. But the reason that you have to align your friendships is because there's a lot more to it than that's just someone I have fun with. They're good to grab a drink with, or they're a good time. There's a lot of moral questions and decisions that come up in a friendship where as you start having deeper conversations and more things start happening in your life, you have more experiences, you're looking for those friendships to be a sounding board, to be a mirror for you in a lot of ways. And if your relationships aren't aligned according to your moral compass or your value system, then it can get a little wrinkly. It doesn't mean that everyone that you're friends with needs to look like you, sound like you, act like you. But at the very basis of all friendships, there has to be respect. So what happens if the respect is gone? Then do you even have a friendship anymore?
How do you know when a friendship is actually draining you instead of fueling you? And why do so many of us ignore those red flags?
Because we want to be nice, right? I mean, we want to be nice. That's what it comes down to. We're all kind of people pleasers at some level, I think. I really do believe that. But a great example of a friendship maybe that's no longer serving you. You know, you pick up your phone and it rings or it vibrates. Does anyone's phone ring anymore, by the way? Because I've had mine on vibrate like since phones came out, I'm pretty sure. So, your phone goes off and you look at it and a name comes across it and you roll your eyes or you let out a big sigh and you're like, well, okay, let's take a step back there. What kind of reaction is that? What reaction are you having to seeing that friend's name come up on your phone? What's going on in that friendship that causes that reaction? Is it that the friendship feels very one-sided, that you feel like they're walking all over you, nothing is reciprocated? There's a big difference between a friend going through something and you being there for them and at that time in their life where they're going to take more energy, they're going to take more time, they're going to need more compassion. That's a big difference than someone who is a personality that is a taker, that is grabby, that is taking advantage of you. So there are definitely are caveats to this, and I definitely want to put these into the categories they belong in. But that is an example of something or someone that is probably draining you.
Respect is huge in any relationship, but let's be real. What do you say to someone who realizes they just don't respect a friend's choices anymore? That can be kind of an awkward conversation.
It's all an awkward conversation when you're trying to fire a friendship, right? But you can say what you mean without saying it mean. That's something I really truly believe in. And if there is a respect factor missing, I'm going to give an example of this. Someone in my community had a relationship outside her marriage, and someone who knows her kind of came to me and said, I feel like by staying her friend, I'm condoning this. And I said, that's a very interesting, perspective. And the question I asked her was, do you respect her? Do you respect her anymore? And she said, no. And I said, well, then it's going to be hard to carry on a relationship with her, a friendship with her. And so what she did was just kind of slowly pull back and see if that person reached out, see if they were making the effort. I kind of didn't. And so it just dissipated naturally. But if you are not going to get out of a friendship that way, where it's natural, then having that conversation, you're right, can be awkward. But think about the person you're having the conversation with. That's always my intention whenever having a difficult conversation is, what's this person's personality like? How do they process? How can I make sure I'm communicating myself where they're going to be able to understand what I'm saying and I'm going to be able to reach my goal? And so choose your words wisely. You know, in situations like this, explanations, of course, are important, but you can also get in trouble with over explaining yourself as well. So taking time to understand, again, what's the goal of the conversation? How can you say what you want with conviction? But also, how can you do it in a way that is graceful, can also give you a graceful exit? The person doesn't have to agree with you. They can be upset with you. They can be hurt. Their reaction is not your responsibility. But you want to be the one that is able to say, when I go to sleep at night, I know I handled that the way that I'm going to be proud of myself for.
You've shared so much great advice today, but for those of us who need a little more guidance, you actually wrote the book on this, right?
I do. Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. And honestly, the reason I wrote it was during COVID, I saw people in chat rooms, on social media, all over the place saying, you know, everyone talks about this village. You know, is there a phone number you call? Is there, you know, a group of people that's just going to show up at your door with a casserole and help you raise your kids? Or like, how do we do this? And so I said, you know what? It is time that we found some instructions to the village. And so I created 6 archetypes in the book that you identify with. Who am I of these 6 people to others? And who do I need of these 6 people in mind? And so when we're talking about this, about friendships aligning with you, as you're doing that work of figuring out who you want to be in your village and your community, you're going to naturally start casting people into different roles. And you might notice that people need to be rearranged, recast, or you might notice that it's time to fire people from your village. And so all of that is in the book, and I'm happy to be your virtual village also on social media. And I love to hear from you, from real life people who are experiencing these issues in their life, because we still are in a friendship recession. We still are going through a loneliness epidemic. And so I hope I can be there for you to hold you through it.
Okay, before we let you go, how can people connect with you on social media and get a copy of your book?
Yeah, you can go to my website, florenceann.com. You can go there and also take a free assessment of the archetypes that I talk about. And then you can also chat with me, Florence Ann Romano, all over social media. I answer every DM, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Florence, it has been great chatting with you. So interesting. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.